Well, we have some big news that is coming in right now. SE stays fact-checking unit of the PIB. SE stays the operation of the central government notification setting up of a fact-checking unit to monitor content on social media concerning its business under the recently amended IT rules. This is the big news that we are tracking at the moment. SE stays fact-checking unit of PIB. SE stays the operation of central government notification setting up of a fact-checking unit to monitor content on social media concerning its business under the recently amended IT rules. Now, for more on this, we are joined in by Ashok Bakaria, live from our studio, who is our legal editor as well. What does this mean for the government and PIB?
Well, this is actually a huge setback for the government of India, because if you look at it, it's almost been a year that the government of India has been thinking of coming up with this whole fact-check unit. A fact-check unit under the Press Information Bureau in the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting, with a laudable objective on the part of the government saying that there is too much fake news, disinformation and wrong information which is being peddled on the digital media. Now there has to be breaks which have to be applied at some point in time, and they came up with this idea of having a fact-check unit with respect to government related news which will be published on digital media. Now when this rule was discussed with the stakeholders, there was a lot of resistance. Now there are two sets of people here. One are the intermediaries who are directly affected. Now when I say intermediary, these are people who operate these digital websites and who are news gatherers, who are news publishers. And the second is basically the citizens group who believe that setting up of a fact-check unit will only amount to giving out a singularity of opinion with respect to government stories, which is contrary to Article 19, which gives citizens of this country the freedom of speech and expression. And without plurality of views on any government story, the whole purpose of freedom of speech gets defeated and stifled. Now what has happened is that today this matter was before the Supreme Court of India, and interestingly on 20th March, which was yesterday, the government of India had notified, there was a gazette notification which said that the government of India is setting up a fact-check unit under the PIB, which will scrutinize all government related stories which are put out on digital media and give them a verified, unverified tags. And in cases the government of India or the fact-check unit believes that the facts put out on the digital website are incorrect, they might even ask the digital media or the digital website to pull down that story. Now that is where the trouble began. That how can the government dictate only one side of the story or putting out only the government view of the story out on digital platforms? Because if that is the case, the whole purpose of article or the fundamental right of freedom of speech and expression gets defeated. Supreme Court today agreed with the fact that yes, this particular rule pertaining to the fact-check unit has serious consequences with respect to Article 19, and they believe that there is more than a prima facie case for putting on hold the setting up of this fact-check unit. And in the meanwhile, what they have said is that this matter relating to the constitutional validity of the enactment is concerned, it's pending before the High Court. The High Court can hear it and they will adjudicate on the issue.
Well, we spoke about how the we had this rule coming in, and is it only this particular aspect that the story could be taken out was the irritant in this entire thing, or was it that this worry that slowly it will be overarching on everyone after, especially when it comes to stories where it could be a chance where you have to toe a particular line?
Well, there is a problem now. As far as this particular Information Technology Act is concerned, it was under this act, there were rules notified for intermediaries in 2021. And under those rules, the government said that we are going to set up a fact-check unit with respect to government stories which are put out on websites. The moment this rule was put out, there was a spate of litigation in the Bombay High Court which challenged the validity of this rule, primarily on the ground that, look, if you have a fact-checking unit with respect to government stories, now this fact-checking unit is a government body. The government body is going to certify that these particular facts with respect to the story are correct or not. However, the citizens group believe that no government body will verify facts which is difficult for the government of India, and hence only one side of the narrative will come out, whereas the other side of the narrative becomes obfuscated. So that was the major irritant, saying that this has a chilling effect on freedom of speech, and especially with respect to digital media. Now there is another problem with respect to digital media, is that if you do not follow the rules which have been framed by the government of India, you can be prosecuted in the court of law. So you see, there is an interesting thing that played out in this whole litigation, is that when the idea of fact-checking unit was floated, not a single intermediary or a digital media website went to the court, because they feared the moment they go, they'll face consequences. So it was the citizens group which went to the court, saying that this is totally contrary to the scheme of freedom of speech and expression under the Constitution, and hence till the constitutionality and legality of this rule is not adjudicated, it should be put on hold.